Hey guys, this is Chris with Mind Divided, and I hope this finds you doing well, doing whatever it is you may be doing, and today I have a real treat for you. So, my Santa Cruz Bronson has been delayed by another week. That just seems to be par for the course right now, but as we all know, they're a very, very popular brand right now, and it's not uncommon to wait several weeks to get bikes in that come from the factory. There's just such a demand right now. So in the meantime, my local bike shop, it's Gila Hike and Bike in Silver City, New Mexico, hooked me up with a rental, so to speak. They're letting me borrow this brand new Trek Fuel EX8 29er. This is a non-plus sized, although I believe that you can put 650B plus rims and run. This is a mid-fat bike. This is actually a 29er rocking the brand new Bontrager XR4 team issue tires. These are 29 by 2.4, and I believe 2.5 and even 2.6 options are coming out. So really exciting news from the Bontrager line of tires. They're really solid tires. I run I bounce between Bontragers and the Maxxis Ardents on my short travel 29er, my Kona Process 111. So I'm getting to rock this around, and I thought I'd just do a quick bike check and give my initial impressions. So as you can already see, yes, it does have a nice dork disc on it, and it's got a front reflector, but you know what? The bike shop's letting me borrow it. They're not charging me, so I'll deal with it. All right. So let's go ahead and just do a quick bike check, and then I'll give you guys my first impression. I have about 15 miles on this bike today, mainly single track. I'm on the Continental Divide Trail here at the base of Bear Mountain. So I'm getting a nice mix of moderately technical single track, of ascending and descending. So real classic mountain single track kind of trail to base my initial impression on. Okay, so what are we running here? Well, let's just start at the front. We're running the guide brakes. These are the guide R's, 180 mil front and back. These are the SRAM rotors as well. I like these. These modulate really well. These are ultimately what I had on the Pony Wrestler with the guide R's. And aside from some issues involving the handles, where there was a warranty and they had to be replaced, they were pretty good brakes. I did have a lot of squealing and squeaking on the Pony Wrestler, and that actually turned out to be the hubs. The Formula hubs on the Pony Wrestler went bad, and once the hubs got replaced, the brakes worked fine. But these are great. They modulate really well. I probably still will always have a warm place in my heart for the Shimano SLX and XT brakes. They're just their raw power in performance is really unparalleled. But I like these because these can modulate so well. Okay, I'm running just a stock Bontrager handlebars. It looks like maybe 15 millimeters of rise on these. Are fairly flat, about 780 millimeters. Nice wide turning base. This is stock stem. This looks like it's about a 60, probably maybe even a 70 millimeter stem. Normally I don't run a long stem, but I'll tell you that I like it on this particular bike, and I'll get to that here in just a little bit. Okay, I'm running the Fox Rhythm 34, so this is kind of the lower end of the Fox, but you know what? It's what I'm used to. I ran the 2017 version of the Rhythm on the Pony Wrestler, like it. It's got air sprung fork, so you can set your sag with the air. It's got compression and rebound damping as well. So it's got all the basic settings that you need. This is rocking the new Bontrager Line 30 rims. These are 30 millimeter rims, so you can actually run a reasonably sized 29-inch tire on these rims if you wanted to. Looks like you've got plenty of clearance up front at least, so I wouldn't be surprised if you could not easily run a 2.8, possibly even a 3.0 full plus size tire on there. Okay, this is an aluminum alloy frame. It's rocking the Fox reactive with the extra volume air chamber, and of course the reactive damping. I typically just ride this wide open, and it works really well. I used to ride the mountain bike that I really learned how to mountain bike on was a 2015 Trek Fuel EX7. Did not have the reactive, but it had a similar the full floater suspension, and it was very linear, so it felt linear. It felt the same through its travel, which is actually nice for someone who wasn't riding real hard and wasn't riding highly technical stuff. And now what I find is as I'm pushing myself and I'm becoming a more adept mountain bike rider, I'm riding more technical, more steep, more drops, and that kind of stuff. And what I like about what they've done with the suspension is they've made it more progressive. So it still feels fairly linear off the top, and then deeper into the travel, it really hardens up and gives you a nice progressive feel. And I like that for real aggressive riding, because at least you feel like you have some support further on in the travel, where that wouldn't necessarily be the case with older, more linear spring curve systems. Okay, this is a 150 millimeter dropper seat post. I believe this is the Bontrager brand. It seems to work really nice. I really like this lever. I'm used to the KS, the Lev, where it has a little thumb lever. It's plastic, and I really like the position of this because it feels a little more natural. You're used to 2x10 or 3x10 or 3x whatever systems. Your thumb just naturally goes there. It's pretty slick though. That's the only complaint I have, is it's really slick. So if you could put something a little tacky on there, that'd be perfect. But otherwise, the dropper seat post works well. I really like the fact that all the routing's internal, so it's very clean. You don't have wires, cables, anything like that. It's really clean, good routing. I like the color, kind of this three-tone gray, this kind of light gray, medium gray, and then almost a black, real dark gray. It's really nice, kind of looks nice and professional. Rear end still running the active braking pivot, so you have good braking. You have good braking, good suspension, even when you are braking. This is a Boost 148 rear end. All right, and then perhaps the star of the show on this bike is oh yes, look at that. What is that? Ah yes, this is running the new SRAM GX Eagle drivetrain. So this is a 1x12, a 10 to 50 range, and whoa, is it great. I love it. Very good feeling, very predictable shifting, and it feels even better than the GX 1x11 drivetrains that I'm used to. I cannot wait for my Santa Cruz to get in with this Eagle drivetrain, because I'm loving it. Okay, so that's the bike check. What is my initial impression? My initial impressions are this bike is great for going down. It is great for technical terrain. It is very stable. It is a reasonably good pedaling platform. However, the biggest flaw, and this may simply be due to the sizing problem, but the biggest flaw I found is in climbing. I'm having difficulty with extended climbs with this bike, and there are actually a couple of climbs on this trail that I was not able to clean on this bike that I normally clean on other bikes. And so I find that I am very upright, and that I'm in a very weird pedaling position on this bike, and I don't feel, it feels like the cockpit is a little too cramped for me, and if I had a shorter stem, that would be even more detrimental. It's a really weird sensation to have. I've never had that on a bike, and this is a 19.5 inch frame, which I think should more or less be okay. I'm just a tad over 6'1", but what I'm thinking is perhaps if I had a slightly larger bike, And perhaps if I had the seat post up maybe a little higher, that might rectify the kind of this awkward feeling position, this awkward position that I feel I'm in when I attempt to do prolonged climbs. Again, it's about 1.5 miles sustained climb, fairly steep on a fairly slick fire road, and there are a couple sections, one section where I just wasn't able to clean the section, and I've never had issues with that. It's a little more of a struggle, and it's weird because I don't feel like it's in the drivetrain. I feel like I've got plenty of range. The Eagle feels good, but it's just this weird geometry thing that happens, and I just don't feel real stable. And again, I think that may just come down to sizing. But that's my initial impression. Otherwise, I really like it. I've always really liked the Trek. I've always had a warm spot in my heart for the fuels. Again, I learned how to mountain bike on a Trek fuel. It's been a overall fairly nice experience, with the exception of kind of the weird feeling geometry, and that may simply be also due to the fact that I'm used to riding a Kona Process, a short travel 29er, which is fairly long. And it's an extra large frame, so it's the largest frame they made in that for me, and so it may simply be also due to the fact that it's a slightly different package that I would need to take some time to get used to, and I'll have a couple more days with this, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a quick bike check and initial impression on the 2018 Trek Fuel EX8. All right, guys, have fun. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care.